March 2027 is bringing us the third Godzilla x Kong crossover, a movie that's set to dive headfirst into the cosmic side of the MonsterVerse. But make no mistake, this isn't the end of the franchise, not even close. With the massive box office numbers these films keep pulling in, Warner Brothers would be crazy to stop now. The MonsterVerse is moving full steam ahead, and one of the biggest things fans are waiting for is another solo Kong movie. Godzilla's been getting all the love lately. 2 standalone films plus that Apple TV spin-off series. Kong, on the other hand, has been left hanging. His only solo outing was way back in 2017 with Skull Island. By the time GXK3 hits theaters, it'll have been nearly 10 years without a proper follow-up for the Big Ape. That's way too long, and Legendary knows it, which is why the idea of Son of Kong has been floating around for a while now. This wasn't just fan speculation either. Even before the new Empire came out, there were real reports that Warner Brothers was seriously considering Son of Kong as the next step after that movie. In the end, the studio played it safe, choosing to finish off the Godzilla x Kong trilogy first. But the fact that Son of Kong is still very much on the table is a huge deal. No one at Warner has denied it, and silence in this business usually means the wheels are already turning. And honestly, the new Empire basically teased it for us. The introduction of Suko, the youngest member of Kong's species, feels like a direct setup. His whole relationship with Kong screams father and son dynamic. The stubborn but inexperienced kid paired with the hardened mentor. That's not some random subplot, that's a foundation. It's the kind of relationship that could drive an entire film. Imagine Kong teaching Suko not just how to fight and survive, but passing on the legacy of their whole species. But it wouldn't stop there. A Son of Kong movie could also dig deeper into Kong's past. The history of his people, their rise and fall, maybe even flashbacks to an ancient civilization. Skull Island gave us a taste, but it wasn't nearly enough. Now, with years of build-up and Kong's popularity at an all-time high, it feels like the perfect time to finally explore his side of the lore in full. Of course, the idea of Son of Kong isn't new. The first version came out in 1933 as a direct sequel to the original King Kong. That movie was a very different beast. More of a light fantasy adventure with comedy sprinkled in. It followed explorers stumbling across Kong's son on Skull Island. He was smaller, had white fur, and was way more gentle than his father. The film never explained where he came from. No mother, no backstory, nothing. He just shows up. And given how rushed and low budget that sequel was, it's not even clear if he was meant to be Kong's biological son, more like a symbolic heir. That's probably the path Legendary would take too, not in terms of cutting corners, but in storytelling. It's pretty unlikely this MonsterVerse version of Kong is going to suddenly have a biological kid. That's not what these movies are about. They're about legacy, mentorship, and passing the torch, which means if Son of Kong happens, the son will most likely be adopted. And guess what? We've already met him. It's Suko. He's introduced, he's established, and audiences already know his face. All that's left is to build him up, let him grow, evolve, and develop his own strength and personality. If the writing sticks the landing, he could become one of the key players in the MonsterVerse. And this isn't just fan theory. Even before the new Empire released, the producers made it clear that 2 characters would be absolutely central going forward, Gia and Suko. At the time, that sounded like typical studio marketing, but looking back, it seems like they meant it. Sure, Suko didn't get much screen time, but the seeds are planted. He's not just some background character, he's set up to grow. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. He could evolve into something truly unique, maybe even more intelligent than any Titan we've seen so far. Imagine him beginning to understand humans, maybe even communicating with them. Through gestures, symbols, maybe even language. That could make Suko the perfect counterbalance to Gia. She was the bridge between humans and monsters, helping us connect emotionally to Kong. But Suko could be the bridge in the opposite direction, the first kaiju to actually connect back with humans. That's not just a cool twist, that's a game changer for the entire MonsterVerse, opening the door to bold new stories we've never seen before. Son of Kong has the potential to completely refresh the MonsterVerse, not just by giving us another Titan brawl, but by actually telling a story packed with legacy, emotion, conflict, and long-awaited answers about Kong's ancestors, stuff that the new Empire only scratched at. There's still so much left unexplored. Take Scar King, for example. He was teased as a layered villain with real motivations and a tragic past, but in the end, he turned out to be nothing more than a brute dictator. What we saw in the trailers was exactly what we got. No extra depth, no hidden meaning. That's why Son of Kong feels so necessary. This could be the movie that finally takes Kong to his fullest form, not just as a titan, but as a true king, a leader, and a symbol of growth. Right now, his story feels unfinished. By the end of the new empire, Kong had officially earned the crown, not just in name, but in spirit. He wasn't the last of his kind anymore. He became the leader. That's huge, and it can't just be left hanging. Letting that evolution drop would be a mistake. There's even a theory floating around that Kong might die in Godzilla x Kong 3, and that his death could be Legendary's way of finally raising the stakes. Critics often point out that no one in the MonsterVerse ever really dies. The villains are defeated too easily, and the danger never feels permanent. Killing Kong would definitely change that. It would be shocking, dramatic, and could even serve as Suko's origin story, his motivation to carry on his father's legacy. But realistically, that feels like a long shot. Kong is too important to the MonsterVerse. He's the second pillar right after Godzilla, and for a lot of fans, he's the real hero of this universe. Knocking him off just for shock value would be a huge risk, and could alienate a big chunk of the fan base. The smarter play is to give him one more movie. Let him guide Suko, let him pass on everything he's learned, let him finish his journey with purpose. Then, down the line, Suko can step up as the Prince of the Titans, a symbol of the next generation. And that's the beauty of Son of Kong. It wouldn't just be another monster spectacle, it would be the moment the MonsterVerse grows into something more meaningful. There are still so many questions about Suko himself. Who are his parents? Are they alive? Was he orphaned? Maybe Scar King's reign wiped out his family. Maybe his father was a warrior who fell in battle, and his mother's still out there, hidden somewhere in the Hollow Earth. Any one of those paths could make for a deeply emotional storyline, and Son of Kong is the perfect place to dive into it. And it's not just about Suko. The entire species of giant apes is still a mystery. How did their society work? Did they have clans or tribes? Culture? Rituals? Hierarchy? The new empire gave us a glimpse, but it didn't dig deep. Kong may have found his people, but what comes next? That opens the door to all kinds of storytelling, and it's exactly the kind of world-building fans have been asking for. Legendary seems to know it too. The producers have said more than once that the MonsterVerse has to stay balanced, that Godzilla and Kong should stand as equals, which means Kong needs another solo film, and Son of Kong fits perfectly. This project's already been on the table. It got delayed so the studio could push through with Godzilla x Kong 3, but once that trilogy wraps, the logical next step is to circle back and give Kong his continuation. So no, Son of Kong isn't just a fan theory, it's a very real possibility, and honestly, all signs point that way. Suko's been introduced, Kong's arc is still unfinished, and audiences are ready for more than just big fights. They want the heart behind the monsters, and that's exactly what Son of Kong can deliver.